Hello viewers, welcome to the next video on The Heart of the Tree by Henry Kyler Bunner, to the only channel that is your favorite on explanation of literature poems, one stop all poetry solution. So in this poem we are going to talk about, as you understand, the importance of planting a tree. You will understand that this poem was written a long time back in 1912, and therefore we can clearly understand that when it is included in the ICSE syllabus of class 10, you must understand that it has some contemporary relevance. So it was more out of concern about the ecology and the growing concern about ecology and the environment that has made us, or is making us, read this poem at such great depth and analyzing it on at such a level. It has a profound message for our generation. In our times, when forests are being decimated for building houses, roads, bridges, and so many, you just name it and we have it, trees seem to attract a lot of attention and care. Their importance seems to attract a lot of attention and care. And here in this poem, the poet draws our attention to what we actually do. What is the importance when we plant a tree? Here he rightly says that one who plants a tree is something that is related to the divine, and you will see by the end of the poem, when we reach the end of the poem, you will very clearly understand that there is a divine connection that a human being experiences once he plants a tree. So the heart of the tree is quite appropriate to the poem, as it focuses on the values and the utilities of the tree, the contribution that a tree makes, and here he refers to the heart, the soul, the life that the tree possesses, and hence the title, The Heart of a Tree. We also get a hint how kind, how generous, and how magnanimous this heart is of the tree. It does not show any discrimination. In turn, it blesses all those who takes care of it, and plays a very important role in shaping the nation from frontier to frontier. And it does not neglect anyone. It is without any kind of disapproval or hatred for anyone, and that is why the poet praises the tree, who not only the tree but also the person who plants a tree. So without much ado, let's start with the poem at the outset, and then as I explain, I will also tell you about the figures of speech that has been used here, that is of contemporary relevance, and how important it is for us to understand the necessity of the trees. So in the poem, the poet glorifies the act of planting a tree. He links the act of growing a tree to the growth of the nation, as we will see at the end of the third stanza. What does he plant who plants a tree? By planting a tree, a man adds a companion to the sun and the sky. When the tree grows, it aims for the sun and the sky upwards. He plants a friend of the sun and the sky. He plants the flag of breezes free. So the leaves of the tree has been compared to the flag that moves gently as the breeze blows. The shaft of beauty towering high. So the stem, the bark, the wooden branch, when it grows out to be a big tree, the wooden bark, the shaft has been compared to something. The stem has been compared to the shaft, and it is beautiful. It towers high. It is tall. He plants a home to heaven nigh. So the person who plants a tree also plants a home for the birds. It becomes a residence for the birds. Who are these birds? They are the ones who fly in the skies, the heavens near. Anai means near, for song and mother croon of the bird. So the gentle humming of the mother bird to its baby is only possible only when the bird gets a safe residence for itself and its baby. So that is what a person does when he or she plants a tree. In hushed and happy twilight heard, This song is not sung in hushed voice but in the moments of twilight when the noises in the surroundings diminish. So at the end of the day, when you are tired, you return home and you are safe and you feel safe. That is the only place, it is your home, that is the only place where you can actually relax, when you can take care of your young ones. And that is also reflected in the case of the birds, where the mother birds, at the end of the day, returning home, she sings for her babies. It is not hushed as if he or she is scared that someone might attack them, but it is because the noises have subsided. It is time to dream, it is time to take care of the young ones. The treble of heaven's harmony, these things he plants who plants a tree. So the harmonious tune is as if keeping in tune or keeping pace with the song of the heaven. And the chirping of the birds is like the tune of the heavens, as if heaven has probably sent or set the tune for the birds to sing along these terms. So everything is pleasant. We get a very pleasant picture at the outset in the first stanza. These things he plants who plants a tree. So throughout the first stanza, we get the impression that the work of planting a tree is noble. And one thing you will notice that is of primary importance, all the three stanzas in the poem begin with the refrain, what does he who plants a tree? And it also ends with an answer. As the poet begins with a question, he or she also ends with the answer. So it is very important for us to understand. Just remember this comparison. Just as you start writing a question in your question paper, or whenever you are answering one question, the question starts addressed to you, and whenever you finish the answer, you write, so this is the reason that it is important, or this is the reason why it has happened. So it is like a completion, it is drawing to a completion. Similarly, the poet also at the end of each stanza draws a conclusion in a similar way. What does he who plants a tree? He plants cool shade and tender rain and seed and bud of days to be. So the poet asks the same question in stanza 2 and also answers them in the following line. So he's telling that after asking the question, that the planting of the tree ensures cool shade and rain. Because once you plant a tree, it sets in motion the cycle, the ecological balance is maintained. As if like a cycle, the rain will help the seeds of the tree to germinate and grow into the similar trees in the coming days. And that is what the poet means when he tells, and seed and bud of days to be. So seed and bud, which are the promises of the future generation, that is nourished with the help of the rain. And how does the rain occur? Because the person who has planted a tree has set in motion a series of actions that will ultimately benefit the future generation. And years that fade and flush again. Fade and flush here refers to death and rebirth, respectively. So the old generation of the trees will give way to the new. He plants the glory of the plain, he plants the forest's heritage, the harvest of a coming age. So he is telling that the person who plants, the poet is telling that the person who plants, he plants the glory of the plains. How does the plains become glorious? How does the plain have their identity? It is because of the trees. He plants the forest's heritage. From a single tree, a forest can grow. It is quite similar to the adage that you must have heard earlier also. From a drop, you can fill the entire ocean. Means you accumulate one drop today, another drop the next day, and it goes on. So little bit of efforts every single day will ultimately produce a huge result, and that is what is hinted here. Today you plant a tree, tomorrow plant a seed. Tomorrow it will not grow up into a huge tree. That is not possible. It takes time. But eventually you keep on planting, you keep on putting your efforts, ultimately it will grow into a huge tree. That is very important. So a tree, the harvest of a coming age. A tree or a plant would ensure fruits in the coming days for the future generation. You take care of the tree, you plant the seed, you plant the seed of the future days today, and it will yield you results in the days to come. So not only you are ensuring the better future for yourself, for your neighborhood, the nation, as we will see in the subsequent stanza, but also it is like the return, the results that you will get for this glorious act of planting a tree, a noble deed that you have performed, that is planting a tree. So now let's move on to the final line of this stanza and also the final stanza of the poem before we head on to the few other discussions that is there. Okay. So here in the next lines the poet continues, the joy that unborn eyes shall see, these things he plants who plants a tree. So the poet Banner is telling, the next generation would be delighted and would be benefited from the trees. So the unborn eyes, the generation that has not yet been born, they would ultimately be benefited from the trees because there will be a greener atmosphere, cleaner atmosphere, the surroundings will be clean, there will be better fruits, better vegetation, and everything will be in balance, unlike the situation, the contemporary situation, the crisis that we with respect to climate that we are facing in the modern times. So that will not be there once we become conscious of the efforts that one needs to put, and one indeed puts when one plants a tree. So now let's move on to the third stanza. What does he plant who plants a tree? He plants in sap and leaf and wood, in love of home and loyalty and far cast thought of civic good. His blessings on the neighborhood, who in the hollow of his hand holds all the growth of all our land. A nation's growth from sea to sea stirs in his heart, who plants a tree. This stanza is so beautiful, so close to my heart that I couldn't stop from reading the entire stanza at one go. But don't worry, I'll explain it line by line. So again he starts with the same question, what does he plant who plants a tree? And here he is asking, he's telling that just as a sap, a leaf and a wood comprises the tree, similarly a tree can grow, produce offsprings, and that indeed comprises the entire planet. From a nation, where do nations exist? They exist in the planet, isn't it? So that is a long-term impact, a large-scale impact that one would notice when one starts planting a tree. So his love and loyalty for planet Earth, the man who plants a tree, his love and loyalty for planet Earth, the man's civic duties and responsibilities, all these things are reflected in this single act, this noble act of planting a tree. And the far-cast thought of civic good. In these lines, it is clearly understood the long-term and the large-scale impact of planting a tree. So the civic duties towards the society, his responsibilities as a citizen, that is very well highlighted, illustrated when he plants a tree. Everyone blesses him, everyone praises him. He earns the blessings not only of God, the divine, but also of his neighborhood, his family members, everyone. Who in the hollow of his hand, this is very important, I will explain this also. The person who plants a tree is conscious of his effort, and his, you will see that the word his in the middle of this line has been put in capital letters. This is hinting at the all-powerful, as if it is all-powerful like God. This interpretation, the phrase hollow of his hands, this interpretation is corroborated by the fact that the hollow of his hands was also the name of a very popular hymn. Probably you may have heard it, I am not sure. Is the name of a very popular hymn at a time when the poem was composed. In fact, the composer of the hymn, E.S. Lawrence, I don't know, does it ring a bell? So the composer of the hymn, E.S. Lawrence, founded the Lawrence Corporation, a music publisher which set the heart of a tree to music. So this has a long-term impact. So E.S. Lawrence was deeply influenced by this poem, which he turned into music later on. Holds all the growth of our nation, of our land. So the growth of the nation from one frontier to the other, that in turn depends upon this single planting of a tree, because it keeps the economy rolling. I'm not talking about that, okay, you should just plant trees and just stop it from cutting it down or using it for necessary purposes. Yes, but necessary sustainability is one thing, and unnecessary or indiscriminate cutting of the trees, that is another thing. So that is one thing that one needs to be careful of, because a sustainable future is something that one should always aim at. And here also the poet hints at that. He's concerned about the future of the Mother Earth, as you very clearly understand, and his actions or his ideas, his responsibilities, here by he I mean the poet, is very well reflected in the person whom he is referring to as planting the tree. So that person, and also maybe in turn the poet, he fulfills his civic duty, showering his blessings on the neighborhood. But one thing no one can deny, that is all throughout very explicit, that trees are indeed needed for the growth and the development of the nation in general. We cannot survive in a land with no trees, isn't it? So the poet appeals to the readers to plant more and more trees, to take care of them in order to prevent the environment for degrading. That is the need of the hour that we must keep in mind, and that is what makes the poem so much relevant in the modern times, in the contemporary times. We must plant trees, keeping in mind the welfare of the coming age. We must think of the future generations. What are we going to leave for our future generations if we all are so much bent into this indiscriminate and irresponsible acts that we are performing, isn't it? That is something that is not at all desirable. So planting a tree, as we draw to the close of this poem, planting a tree connects the human to the divine, as is illustrated in the final stanza. We become, in turn, agents of God's blessings, enabling us to bless the world by promising a better future and leaving it in better shape. That is what we should aim at, isn't it? Instead of being so much irresponsible. More than the divine connection, our immediate surroundings, our immediate neighborhood, ourselves, we are also part of the environment. If we do not take care of trees, if we do not understand the necessity of trees, then it is we are writing our own doom. We are making sure that we die at our own hands. So that draws us to the end of the poem. But I would like to end the poem with some figures of speech that has been highlighted here. Firstly, I would like to talk about metaphor. The poet describes the tree metaphorically as, firstly, you will find it as a friend of sun and sky. Secondly, in the flag of breezes free. Thirdly, in the forest's heritage. And fourthly, in the harvest of a coming age. Okay. Next is alliteration. Alliteration is used in he plants a friend of sun and sky. So you see repetitive use of the letter S. Okay. Second, you will find the illustration in hushed and happy twilight, H and H again, hushed and happy twice. And years that fade and flush, again the usage of F. He plants a home to heaven, again the repetition of H. So four repetitions that we find. First is S, sun and sky, hushed and happy H, fade and flush F, and again home and heaven, again H. And there are two imageries that are used here. That is the visual imagery. In fact, the entire poem can be visualized, but more prominently I would like to highlight some key points. The shaft of beauty towering high, the flag of breezes free. And another is the auditory image for song and mother croon of the bird. You can actually hear the chirping of the birds, the sweet lullabies which the mother bird is singing for her young ones. And lastly, I would like to conclude with the symbol. The tree is the symbol of peace, growth, prosperity, beauty, goodness, something that is divine. So that is what the entire poem is all about. You will not face much difficulty when you read this poem. Don't try to just complicate it unnecessarily, because anyway you will not find it anything complicating. Okay, so just go through this poem, go through it over and over again. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I am looking forward from some motivating words, some comments on how I can improve, though I am working a lot more to try to improve, because I have some limited resources. I am trying to work on that. So your likes, your sharing more and more to your friends, to everyone, would ensure that I can accumulate more resources and be back with a bang that I have been planning for you. So share more, like it if you are really enjoying our videos, and our effort is to keep all of you at one place, without any distraction, so that you get all your notes and prepare all of them at one place without having to look up for any material elsewhere. So go ahead, study the poem, read it, and feel free to ask if you have any questions. So that's it for today. We call it a day today. Do stay tuned to One Stop All Poetry Solution. Hit a like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to our channel One Stop All Poetry Solution, because soon we will be heading for the 50-mark subscription, again the 100-mark subscription, and there's a lot that I have planned ahead. So help us reach the 100-mark subscription soon. Hope to see you soon, and that's it. Happy learning.